Hey folks, welcome to the rooftop. Whirlpooling. It's something that we hear about a lot these days. A lot of craft brewers are leveraging this technique. A lot of home brewers are adopting this technique. So what's the point? What's it all about? There's a couple of reasons why folks whirlpool. One is by creating that circular motion at the end of the boil, you're going to pull all that trube to the center of the boil kettle, which will keep that from going into the fermenter. Another reason is if you're using an immersion chiller and you can whirlpool or circulate that water, it's going to get more of that hot work in contact with the water that's circulating through the immersion chiller. So that's going to cool the work in a lot faster. And then the last reason, probably the reason why it's getting a lot of attention lately, is we're more and more, all of us are trying to get more flavor and aroma out of the hops that we're using. And so I like to do hoppy beers, so I decided I wanted to add a whirlpool to my boil kettle and start doing a lot more whirlpooling. Now, a couple of ways you can do this. You know, you can use a paddle and you can just stir that around really quickly. I've seen a lot of folks do that. But if you've got a pump, you can actually put a port on your brew kettle and you can have that pump create that whirlpool for you. Now, I've got, been homebrewing a while. I got a lot of fittings and things, sitting around my house, my brewery, and so I thought, I could probably create something out of those fittings. But I also did a little research online, looked around, and ended up finding a purpose-built Whirlpool return port from hardware.com called the Submerge, Spincycle Submerge. So what I thought would be interesting to do is to take a couple different fittings, some that are maybe not necessarily made for this, and then also take that purpose-built Whirlpool and just compare how quickly they actually can circulate the water, circulate some water or liquid inside the boil kettle. Incidentally, I don't really think it's important that you have a lot of speed with whirlpooling, but I just thought it'd be a fun way, a very unscientific way of comparing a couple of different fittings and this other piece that I just got, and just see, compare those, see what kind of circulation we're getting. Also, I do use one of the mesh canister type hop spiders in my brewing, so I do think it's important that I'm circulating that work to make sure that it's actually getting as much, getting through there as much as it can, and getting as much of those hop oils during that whirlpool as I can out of what I'm putting inside that hop spider. So let's put all these fittings into the boil kettle and do some time measurements and see what we come out with. Alright, so the first fitting that I wanted to try here was basically using fittings that I had around here and then attaching a street elbow to the inside of the boil kettle. So really simple, inexpensive if you already have the fittings, way of creating a whirlpool. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this bamboo stick here, and I'm going to basically use the thermometer stem here as a marker, and I'm going to see how long it takes for it to get around 5 times. I got a stopwatch over here, so as soon as it comes around again, I'm going to hit start. And start. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, stop. Alright, so almost 11 seconds that it took, 11, 10 and 3/4. So let's move on to the next one. Okay, so the next thing I was curious about is what if we took that street elbow, which is 1/2 inch OD, and then reduce that down at the end with a barb, and that barb is I think 3/8 OD, and it looks like he's actually going a little bit faster. But let's measure it, let's time it, and let's just see what we come out with. And start. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so definitely faster. 9 seconds, 9 9.5 seconds basically, or 9.25 seconds rather. So definitely a lot faster than just having the street elbow by itself. Okay, so the last one we're going to try is that Spincycle Submerge Whirlpool fitting that I got from Brew Hardware. So as soon as that comes around to the thermometer, I'm going to hit the start button and see how long that takes. Start. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right, so right at 9 seconds. All right, so in the end, the street elbow by itself was almost 11 seconds. The barb was about 9.5, and then the Spincycle Submerge ended up coming in right at 9 seconds. So definitely, this was the purpose built was the faster. But candidly, if you've already got these fittings, I think this is a great way to go. But if you want something that's it's made for it, I think you can't go wrong with the Spincycle Submerge. I think I paid $15 for this, which is a really good deal. And I've already done quite a few brew sessions with it. Some of the things I like about it is it seats right up next to the edge of the kettle. So if you're stirring during the boil, doesn't you don't end up hitting it. If you do use that immersion chiller, then it's not going to catch on that or get in the way. Super easy to clean. So I like that too. So anyway, hope this was helpful. And until next time, cheers.